Good afternoon. This is Lisa Steinberg from Starry Constellation Magazine, and my special guest, I'm being joined by Logan Allen from the hit Netflix series Sweet Magnolias.
Yeah, Lisa, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
It's a pleasure. After having watched the show for the 4 seasons, I did watch screeners. I will fully admit to that. This is just like one of Netflix's best series because it offers you that warm comfort of that sweet Southern family and that sweet Southern feel from a small town. And at the same time, it also gives you that like tear jerk, that tug, that like feeling that you just kind of are a part of this town also, even though you're from an outside viewer. It
Yeah,
kind of just like gives you that like sweet home good feeling.
for sure. Yeah, I think, like you said, it offers that relatability, right? And that's what makes it, so emotional, this emotional roller coaster. Lisa, I'm sure you can relate. You're laughing and then you're crying in the next scene. You're like, what's going on, man? Like, what am I supposed to be feeling? So it's a fun, emotional roller coaster all over the place, and it represents life. That's literally how life is. You wake up some days, you're in a bad mood, and it's just not a good day, and you wake up other days and you're feeling great, and life's working for you. So I think it represents that in a really, really relatable way, and people can sit back and see themselves in that show, right? And I think that's what draws them to these characters, Lisa. And having a show that has 40 different main characters, as you know, there's like so many different
Huge
people to
cat.
follow,
Yeah.
huge cast, everyone's so awesome, and you can relate to at least one character. I mean, really, in my opinion, I can relate to multiple characters. I see myself in a lot of different characters in the show, but usually we have that one that we're like, okay, that's me. That's what I would do. That this guy is me. And so I think that's really important because we have so many different characters from so many different backgrounds and so many different storylines, kind of stemming from those three main women, in Maddie, Dana Sue, and Helen.
And I mean, these are three strong, independent women as well who have cultivated career, family, balancing all of that with life, love, struggles as well at
Oh
its
yeah.
core. What have you, I guess, taken away yourself, being a part of the series, being one of the sons amongst the characters, and you personally also from, being able to work with these females like Heather and Brooke, and of course Joanna plays your mom.
They're some of the coolest people in the world. I love working with them, and it's funny, Lisa, because the cast is so big. There's so many people. Like I talk about this a lot, but it's true. Like you realize 3, 4 seasons in, I haven't even had a scene with this person. Like I haven't actually talked to them because there's just so much going on. And so these past few seasons, I've actually been able to sit back and work with Heather a lot, get to work with Brooke a lot, and because usually Kyle's in his own little world with like the teenage drama and all that stuff, trying to find his Shakespearean love each season. So it's fun to branch out, and the writers have done a really good job of letting me be able to work with these different people. I'm like, wow, you guys aren't just heads in a Zoom call, like actually gonna say hi and say what's up. So yeah, they're all just like you said, so talented from different all different parts of the industry, and all have had really successful amazing careers, but yeah, I think because they've had so much experience in this career. I mean, Heather, Broadway, legend, right? Brooke, Drop Dead Divas, really big history there. And you got Joanna, who's been acting since she was a kid, and I grew up watching her and Reba. So like I see her, I'm like, oh my God, it's Cheyenne. And she's so cool and lives up to those all three of those
Diane's my
ladies.
mom.
Yeah, literally, I know. And they all three live up to those expectations that you would have for them. And so my point is yes, because of their experience and they've been through so much in this career, I just can sit back, talk to them, and they're very open, and I can just learn. What's led to all of them having this much success for this long period of time. I mean, Lisa, I'm sure there's actors that you see in movies, back in the 90s and early 2000s, and you're like, where have they gone? Like I haven't seen them since. These ladies have such a insane amount of longevity in their career and consistency that it's really admirable, and I've been able to take away a lot just having those conversations with them on the downtime we have on set.
Oh my gosh, to just kind of soak up everything. I mean, we talk about an extensive cast, but again, these ladies are the core part of the series too, because everything kind of stems. Like you could do a chart, like this person's connected to this person is connected
Yep,
to this person, and then, like everything, goes which way. The lines kind
exactly.
of blur and overlap and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, you talk about the longevity, you talk about all these incredible people who are amongst the cast. And yeah, to learn and soak up and be a part of a special series like Sweet Magnolias, I'm sure you just relish it every day when you get to be amongst everyone.
It's amazing. Like you said, there's like these mega scenes that we do every season where all the characters get together and each time I do that, I sit back and I look at the 50 chairs in front of me and I sit back and I go, just it's insane every single time you see all these faces that I grew up watching that I know that I just saw them as this actress, this actor that I knew, and then actually getting to get to know them as the person, I think is the coolest part. And in a show that's about community, love, relationships, friendships, having a cast that's so likable, that gets along so well, that when that camera turns off, there's actually chemistry there, is so significant and important to this kind of show. And I think that's why we've gone on for so long now, 4 seasons. February 6th, I mean, we filmed what, season one, 2019. That's coming up on 6 years. And I think the reason that we've had that longevity is because not only because those three women are amazing and are the glue, but I think also because we all get along so well. And I think that really translates to the screen.
I'm also constantly impressed by the writing and the production that goes into the series as well. After 4 seasons, the way everyone carries themselves, the cinematography, every aspect and element that goes into making such an extensive series about this humongous town that makes you feel so seen, even though you're amongst them all these people. I
Yeah.
just again I'm so impressed by that, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about that aspect as well, the writing and the production. What kind of really inspires you or really has continued to impress you about those elements as well?
The crew is what makes it happen, right? The people behind the camera, the grips, everyone, setting everything up. We just show up and we perform, right? These are the people that are the first people there, the last people to leave. And so yeah, I gotta just the utmost respect for all of them. And when it comes to the writing, I mean Cheryl Anderson, our showrunner, the main writer, she is amazing. She's great at communicating as the writer of the show, and that's very important. Any questions we have, she's there to answer them. She gives us that flexibility to explore the character, and especially with this season, Lisa, you know in a season where Kyle has a really big character arc. He's finding himself, he's becoming that young man, right, that he's developing into. And that's such a significant part of his life as a whole. One of these big milestones, and Cheryl kind of being there with me every step of the way, was very comforting and an amazing experience. And yeah, I mean, you got Norman Buckley behind the camera, executive producer. He's been in the industry for a long time, and another guy that I can just sit back and just ask questions, and he's just so knowledgeable, so much wisdom, and has really helped me out, and I've learned a lot from him. Brian DP, that's my favorite my favorite Canadian right there, dude. He's awesome. There's so many great people that you can learn from because everyone's been in this industry for way longer than me. And everyone's just so open. Whether it's the writers, whether it's DP, whether it's director. And what's great too is, we have a lot of guest directors on this show. We have a lot of directors that just come in for a block, which is about 2 episodes. And so we have like, 2 to 3 a season. And we had more this season as well. And it's so awesome because you just get to meet more new people, and you get to see their styles of directing and get to learn from their experiences, right? They've come from other projects that they've directed, and just having something different, a different style to play, something different to be surrounded by every few episodes is also very fun and exciting and keeps it fresh. But yeah, like you said, 4 seasons in a show, it's insane how consistent they've been. And I think that season four is the best season so far, at least up there with season one. Season one holds a special place in my heart, but season four is incredible, and the Cheryl and the whole writing crew just go crazy. It's amazing.
Well, speaking of season four, where can you tease that we kind of pick up with our favorite families and townspeople amongst Serenity, and of course, specifically more tailored, of course, with your character, Kyle.
Yeah, well, it's the holidays. They've announced that. I know I could say that. Try not to spoil. But yeah, I know it's the holiday season, so obviously emotions are high, right? And you get to see a lot of people interact that you usually don't normally get to see. You see a lot of strides taken when it comes to relationships and friendships because it's the holiday season. People are expressing their love and gratification for each other, and yeah, I think people are gonna be really excited to see how some of these relationships and friendships flourish. And like I said earlier, specifically with Kyle, he's growing. He's growing into a young man, and you see him balance all this new responsibility and have to take on this new maturity. He's excited to grow up, but he's like, oh man, there's responsibility that comes with this. There's balancing time with different people and relationships and friendships. You can't just kind of cruise through life anymore. He actually has stuff to do, and um, yeah, I think that's really fun. And like I said, just him finding out who he is. And, in a show where there's always something going on, he can always, take on these different things and learn and grow from them. And this season they gave us a lot of stuff to to learn and grow from. So I'm very excited for everyone to see it. And like I said, finally a holiday season, right? I think everyone's been waiting for that. And it's very exciting. So I've had a blast filming it and can't wait to see it come to life.
Yeah, your character is kind of getting towards the cusp of college, and that's legally becoming an adult, as they call, as we kind of call it, and there's a lot of transitions happening. You're there's a lot of things like we haven't talked about yet, but like going on within the town dynamics, going on within the family's dynamics, and there becomes a lot of heaviness as well. How does the family kind of shoulder this either together or within, separate character dynamics, like, the brothers and siblings?
What do you mean exactly? Just kind of how like they all kind of get through it together?
Yeah, how do they kind of comfort each other or lean on each other? What can you share amongst like the sibling dynamics that we'll get to see while this heaviness, without spoiling, well, this heaviness is happening amongst the family?
Yeah. I think that's probably at the forefront the most this season is the dynamic between the Townsends, right? Between Kyle and Ty and um I just think the friendships and family dynamics are just really heightened, like by times five this season. I think with everyone growing up and kind of figuring out what they want to do and going on these adventures. I think it's a time where these characters are growing and learning and um they're making decisions. They're finally not pushing stuff off. It's like they're forced to make these decisions. They're forced with this confrontation on whatever the issue and problem is. And I think people are really gonna be happy and they're gonna laugh, they're gonna cry, they're gonna be excited by the decisions some characters make, and they're gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing?" with some of the other decisions they make. And I think that's what makes this show, like I said, great is that and yes, kind of going back to your original question, I think the dynamic between the Townsend family is really important this season. I think the dynamic between Dana Sue and the Sullivans, I think, is really big this season. And Helen has a lot of stuff going on this season as well. There's just because, like you said earlier, when one thing happens, everyone's affected by it in some way, right? And because there's so much going on this season, I think there's never that lack of sense of community and having to rely on each other.
What I've
Hopefully that was a good answer. Sorry, I can't say too much. I'm
You
like I'm
know,
trying.
yeah, no, everybody has to lean on each other, and there becomes, that's what's so good about, t towns like Serenity, is that there is always someone around the corner, someone from growing up, or someone that have some sort of relationship, whether it's religious or a friend of a family, like that you can lean on, or someone that you can go to, that can share in that same type of, whether maybe not necessarily going through that same, circumstance, but at least, they can empathize. And I think that's what's also really great about the show is, we talk about relationships, but the comfort of a small town is kind of like its own bubble. It can be its own special bubble.
It's like you said, it's its own worst enemy because, one wrong word and everyone's gonna be affected by it and it's chaos. And I think we saw a lot of that in season one, you know what I mean? I think we saw a lot of that in the earlier seasons. And I think in season three, you also see that because like I said, everything, all the senses are heightened, which means emotions are heightened, which means impulses are heightened. So yeah, I think, you know, they want the holidays to go smoothly, but the question is, will they? Right? I think is the theme that we're exploring this season, and yeah, I agree. There's you got to rely on the people around you, and um, especially in a small town of Serenity where it's as dramatic as ever.
What's really been nice to see is the brotherly bond that's kind of formed and kind of changed and shifted over these past four seasons between your character and the character of your character Kyle and the character of Tyler's character. As these characters has matured, how has your relationship matured, or at least, developed, I guess I would call it, with working with Carson?
Yeah, that's my guy, man. Carson's a great dude, and both Floridians. He I think graduated from FAU though. So he's a Florida Atlantic Owl, which is, that sucks too. Go Gators.
The trifecta going, it's
Uh,
okay.
There you go. There you go. A little, yeah, a little triangle. Um, but yeah, so he's a great dude, man, and you know, whenever we're filming, we're always hanging out, and I once again, he's been in the industry. He's a lot older than me. He's married and has a kid. It's insane. He's literally married and has a kid. So good for them. And he's living a great life, and he's been in the industry for a long time, and another guy that can sit back and learn from, and a guy that is, in his, mid to late 20s. And so he's been through everything I'm about to go through in life because I'm turning 21 in July. So it's like, okay, now he can kind of be like, okay, this is what's gonna happen in your early 20s. Be ready for it. You know what I mean? You better armor up, man. And so it's great to have those deep conversations with him. And we had a really deep one on set one day. And um, yeah, just a really good dude who's shown me a lot that I've learned from. And um, I think you see that chemistry that we have in real life on camera as well. I think you can tell it's not forced. I think you can tell there's something genuine there. There's a genuine older brother, little brother vibe in our everyday life. So once it's one of those things that also transitions, and it's not just that, it's everything. I mean, my relationship with my whole family, right? We all are so or like Ella as well playing Katie, another Floridian. And we're very we're all the whole town's of families from Florida. So getting to get to know her, and she's so funny outside of set, me hanging out with her and her mom and dad, and they're all really cool. So building that relationship's important. And then of course Joanna, like I said earlier, one of the sweetest, most talented people I've ever got the pleasure to work with. I mean, she's one of those actresses you work with where you're like, oh my God, she just every single take just gives it 100% and just kills it. And a person outside of set that I've built a great friendship with, and um, I think once again you see that transition to the screen as well. So there's a genuine family vibe, and it really starts at the top with Cheryl Anderson, our showrunner. She is really, really the one keeping us all together and moving everything forward. So, all the Sweet Magnolias fans out there, if you want to thank someone, thank Miss Cheryl Anderson because she's incredible and it's not easy. You know what I mean? It's not easy. She's doing other projects as well, and she made this is her baby straight from scratch. Obviously it's an adaptation from the novels from Cheryl Woods, another Cheryl, and she's done a great job with it, and I can only imagine what it's like from her point of view. You know what I mean? Seeing her baby kind of flourish into this four-season Netflix dramatic TV series that's killing it.
Yeah, I mean, season four, I think you just really hit such a really wonderful stride with the series. And again, as the characters mature and the acting matures and the relationships within the relationships that we see depicting on screen matures, it's only of course it's only natural, because everybody has to grow. But this is just a series that you feel like you can kind of grow and be a part of, and also be like, whoa, that's he's my little brother too, or like, like that's that's my family too.
That relatability that I was talking about earlier, right? Lisa, whenever we watch comedies, what makes us laugh? When we see something we relate to, right? When something's really funny, we're like, "Oh my God, like I've done that before. I've seen someone else do that." Or and in drama and romance, there's a reason why people go through breakups and they put on the Notebook, right? It's because you can relate to what my boy's going through. So, it's just all about relatability, and I think this is a show where it's nothing crazy. There's no aliens fighting with, alien guns or dragons flying through the air. It's these ordinary people going through these ordinary circumstances, and that relatability. Like it's a show that really, like you were talking about, relies on that character development, or not character development, but character dynamic, right? The dynamic between the characters and that relationship and friendships and whatever it is, that love and sense of community. If that's not there, Lisa, the show's not successful, right? Because we don't have the crazy, once again, the dragons and the CGI to rely on. It's very story and dialogue driven, and um, a lot of that goes to, like I said, Cheryl Anderson and what she's been able to write, um, and giving us those dynamics to play, right? And those situations and those obstacles and those decisions, and like I said, really stems from her. But yeah, I think. I forgot what the original question was. I'm rambling, dude.
No, no, yeah.
But yeah. So it's those dynamics are very very key. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's a wonderful community spirit that like you see reflected on screen, but you feel like you're a part of too. And it's also a series like you're continuing when you say like there's no guns, there's no violence, there's no aliens, there's no like super like drama that, somebody is going to have a kidnapping, like it's not like that heightened, palpable procedural type of, police are after someone type of thing. Um, but it's a show that like any age also can watch, and you can sit down and watch it with your younger daughter, or you could watch it with your teenage son, or you could watch it as like a grandma and see this kind of different family life, but also feel that same community spirit that it gives off at the same time. So while you're watching it, you're gonna have your own margarita night. Like you want to have your own
Yeah.
margarita with your girls. You want to sit at Sullivan and Friends and have something delicious to eat, because you see the characters like that's also like not only like that's part of like the main, like there's obviously the Townsend house, and there's like there's main locations that are a part of the show, but like Sullivan's is like one of the roots besides the Townsend house.
100%. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and like you said, that relatability is what brings people in.
You've gotten to play this character Kyle now for 4 seasons, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about what has been the most rewarding part of it for you portraying this character. What have you kind of taken away from being, I guess, being in his shoes in a sense?
Literally, yeah. I actually have a pair of his shoes from season 3 right here in my closet, and I got the cast from season 2. That's the leg cast after the car crash. I got my eyebrows from season 3 are in there. Got all kinds of stuff. They let me take something home, which is great. Um,
You have a collection. You have your own little Kyle. You have
dude,
a Kyle collection.
I got way more stuff too from season 4 that I can't show you, but there's a lot of stuff in my closet. Um. Lisa, being able to play a character for the span of 6 years is insane, right? Because I get to see Kyle grow up and it's like he's, because I'm a little older than my character. So I grew up, I go through these life lessons, I go through these different milestones, and then Kyle's like right behind me. So he's going through the same exact things that I've just learned that I've gone through. And that's so much fun to play because it's like, this is how I reacted to these obstacles being thrown at me in life from growing up into a young adult. Let me see how Kyle reacts to this. And let's see why, right? I love to get into the psychological aspect of it. Because whenever you play a character, you got to validate whatever they're doing, right? Even if you don't agree with it, you got to be like, okay, this is why, it's why he made that decision.
Yeah, owning it. Yeah.
You gotta own it, and you gotta like exactly, you gotta own it, and you got to validate it. So that's been really, really fun to explore. And once again, shout out to Cheryl Anderson, for the fifth time this review or interview because um she does such a good job of making Kyle interesting. There hasn't been a moment where I'm like, okay, this character's done. This is his story. It's wrapped up. There hasn't been that moment because there's still so much more to tell, so much more to explore. And like I said, this season, Lisa, I know I keep saying it, but it's true, is I would say the biggest they take the biggest stride when it comes to Kyle's character development and him finding himself. And um there's a whole episode really later on in the season where he finally figures out who he is, who he wants to be. And it's great to see because it's like uh, playing this character for 6 years, I'm 20, I'm gonna turn to 21 years old. That's a big fraction of my life, right? So it's awesome to see this character like find himself, this character finally hit that point in life that he's been trying to get to. And yeah, just seeing it all unfold is so much fun. And I feel like there's still a lot to explore with Kyle, and I'm excited to see. My favorite thing to do, Lisa, is after the show comes out. I mean, I love listening to like the viewers talk about like, where they think he should go next. What he thinks is going to happen. What he thinks the consequences of this season are going to be. When it's going to hit him. And I love that. So I'm very excited to see what people say because he takes a big step, but I still feel like there's a lot to explore. And but yeah, once again, I keep going off your question. Going back to the original question, I think that's been my favorite part is playing him now for 6 years and seeing him grow and kind of go through those same things going into a young man that I went through.
It's such a unique lens as well to be able to witness because we see a lot of, teenage dramas and um, the way that Kyle's the lens that they've given for Kyle, it just feels like really rewarding when when we get to see that you're talking about these big episodes coming up, like where his journey has come. It's just really wonderful to see the arc that we get for him and like you, I'm looking forward to seeing what people say afterwards, but just the mature like I talk about, like the maturity and you've really put a lot of well-roundedness and layers into the character too. He could come off as, being a little, this, a little bit of that, or, like, but that's what teenage boys are in that time period, like it's not like some fan it's not some fantasy. It's a very again relatable and a very pure way that you portray him. So
Thank you.
I'm really just wanted to commend you on the wonderful growth and the arc and the layers that we've gotten to see within him over these past few seasons.
Thank you. No, yeah, that means a lot. I think also having siblings of my own really helps with those moments where you're just like, dude, just especially I know you're talking about season 2 where he's just mad at everyone. And that was really fun to play because we've all had those things happen to us where we're just projecting, right? We're not we haven't worked on ourselves and come to terms with what's going on around us and have that guilt that Kyle had so much on his shoulders.
Mm.
And you know you lash out. I lash out at my siblings almost every single day, right? It happens to all of us. But then we're best friends again. And so like I said, I think what's been so much fun is, you know, living through these circumstances in my real life and then kind of, bringing it to life in the character because it's so relatable for me and I know it will be relatable to other people. So it's a blessing.
Well, outside of Sweet Magnolias, are there any other projects that you have that you can share or have something coming up? Just or we're plugging again February 6th, Sweet Magnolia season.
February 6th. Yeah, I believe it's that Thursday, isn't it? Or what is it? Uh Yeah, that Thursday. So definitely go check it out. Yeah, I'm so excited for everyone. Hopefully we get a trailer soon. They don't tell me anything, so hopefully it'll probably be this week. But yeah, really excited for everyone to see it February 6th. Nothing, no project on the horizon. Obviously the industry is really slow right now. We have the strikes and then of course the LA fires. So praying for everyone affected. We got some people from Sweet Magnolia is also affected by that. So, definitely prayers up for them. But um, but yeah, so industry has been very slow. That's gonna be another setback. So nothing really on the horizon. I'm just working and trying to, I said this on my Instagram story today, and it's true. One thing that I've been doing, and there's an acting coach that said this in a book that I just read, and he was like, if actors worked as much as they worked in the gym on their craft, then they would actually be great actors. And I'm like, that's true, man, because I go to the gym like 2 hours almost every day, and I'm like, I need to start doing that. So yeah, I'm just working on monologues. I'm reading Shakespeare. I'm trying to develop as much as an actor as possible right now. So when those opportunities do present themselves, I can attack it. So that's just kind of what I've been doing. Nothing crazy. Writing a script as well, which is fun, and just trying to explore different things while I have this free time.
Well, those are all of my questions. I'm really glad that we got a chance to chat about season four of Sweet Magnolias. It's a show that's very endearing and close for me to watch and see. I grew up in Georgia. I live in Florida now, but that's that sweet Southern spirit, like that community spirit that only like us, like there's like only like you can only organic like get it in the South. Like there's just this energy that's only organic to like the South.
Yeah, my dad's side is very southern. It's funny. My mom's side's very city, dad's very like country. And so like I totally relate to that small town. Like I live in a small town in Florida. So yeah, like you're talking about just bringing that to life, they did such a good job with, and I totally agree, can relate to that show.
Thank you so much, Logan.